Thanks, Nicole. Well, thank you. Please stop. You don't have to do that. You know, you can tell the difference between men and women. You get a group of women and you say the phrase diaper cake and nobody giggles. If this would have been a room full of men, this place would have fell out. Half the guys would have had to go to the bathroom or figure something out. That just tells you the maturity level of us. Unbelievable. Before I begin, you know, all of you are at different stages. You have either newborns or toddlers. How many of you have children over the age of 12? You good? Okay. There are some of you are giggling or laughing at that, like I've got 7 of them or something. I don't know. But you know, the message today is going to be at different stages. And so if some of this doesn't seem like it pertains, someday it might. And here's why I say that. And it's a sobering thought, is that God loves us all dearly. And I'll tell you what, it takes, I was there, I actually delivered, from permission from my bride, who I'm going to introduce in a second, I actually delivered our first child. Ladies, how do you do that? I'm like all jacked in the mind, like, oh my gosh. That is unbelievable. So anyway, here's the point. See, it's things like that get me off like, wow. But what I want to stress is that some of the things we talk about will eventually, possibly, most likely happen in your family, in your house, in your marriage, if you're a single mom, in everything that you might do when it comes to activities, events. I'm a sports guy. I played for the Royals in their organization for about 13 years, played in the big leagues for 2 years. And so a lot of this pertains to sports, but I'm also a dad of a 12-year-old boy and an 8-year-old boy. And I have an 8-year-old boy that is really talented at sports, but it's not his passion. And so it's not my job to make it his passion just because I played it. My older son loves baseball, loves seeing daddy's uniform, loves looking at all the videos of, well, all the videos. I only played 2 years for the Royals, so maybe 2 videos. I say all the videos. You go on my website, you'll see 2, and you've pretty much seen my career in about a blink or so. So if you do, try not to blink. But anyway, he sees that and he loves that. He thinks it's really cool, but he's my guy in school, in sports, everything. He has to try really hard. And so it's my job and my bride's job to make sure that he understands that my love for him, our love and care for him, is not based on performance. It's not based on, well, if my dad did this and I'm here, this is how much less of a man that I am. And we all know that that is so not true. And by the way, military moms, wives, is that right? Husbands in the military, is that right? Or how many of you have military husbands or family members? It says it up there. Okay, I just want you to understand that I was able to wear the jersey that I wore because of commitments of your husbands and family. So thank you. Thank you all for that commitment. I can't even begin to tell you the joy in living in this country that I have because of your family. So thank you very much. Gosh, sorry. I'm supposed to cry at the end, not at the beginning. My fault. Wow, so here's a brief story before we ask questions. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you can participate in these questions if you want. You can raise your hand or not, or I'm going to sit here and I choose not to participate. That's okay too. Eat, drink, let the kids burp, whatever they want to do, or other things. You know, we're talking about diaper cakes, so hey, do what you got to do. But background for me, you know, growing up before the age of 15, the maximum number of baseball games I might have played in a year, maybe 15 to 20. I've taught 8-year-olds on how to play the game correctly because their parents would hire me for me to teach them hitting or pitching or how to get out of the way, or Johnny's getting hit too much and so we got to protect him because his elbow's like swollen out to here. And I said, well, how many games did he play last year? He's 8. So how many games did he play last year? Well, we had a slower year because he didn't play all fall, so we only played 85. And by the way, how many, are these all your kids? Oh yeah, I have 5. And he plays 85 games, and she's in recital, and he's in soccer, and she's in, and he's in, and it's madness. And if you can do it, that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And I'm not saying we need to encourage our children to do things, to be active, because there's so many lessons in sports, so many lessons in recitals and musical instruments, in which, by the way, my oldest son, who wants to be so good at baseball because daddy did, he rocks the house on the viola. So that's pretty solid there, because he knows daddy, there's no chance there. But by the time I got into high school at age 15, I maybe then, through all my 4 years of high school, only played maybe 35 games. Played a little football, wasn't great at it. Played basketball. I played basketball. I got to warm up with the team and then sit the bench and watch the game during the rest of the games. So I was a multi-sport athlete, but didn't play a lot. I used baseball as an escape from a dad who was very abusive, very ultra abusive. And so I escaped. Mom and sis got the brunt of it. And so I would go play baseball. God turned it around, used it as a passion after the escape. And so I was able to play that. But let me explain something. I went into high school at 4 feet 11 inches tall. I was a walking America's Funniest Home Video event waiting to happen. Constantly, absolute constantly. Trying to throw that way, somehow it ends up this way. The first tryout, I hit a ball way into the outfield and ran to third base instead of first base because I didn't want to run that far. I figured a triple, I'll just go right to third. Right? Yeah. Leave it to the men to cut corners, right, ladies? You know that's right. Unfortunately, there's that set of rules that says you actually have to go to first base. So until I didn't have a Division I scholarship. Back then it was NAIA Division II, which was the lowest four-year school. I had a scholarship to play football and baseball. Again, the football thing was just watching a good seat on the sideline, and got to play baseball. But here's the moral of the story. With little talent and not playing all those games, the only way for me to be able to compete at the major league level, and the crazy odds that would take an hour to explain who gets hurt and how I got there, God did it. God did it. So if God wants your son or daughter to do something professionally, or this or that, He's going to allow you to teach your child through that. But I'll tell you one thing, if we push our kids too hard, too far, because it's something that we want, okay, God may not have His hand in it. And there's a real big chance that we're going to set our children up for a lot worse things than we ever imagined or planned. Now, here's a sobering thought before I get to the questions. Satan wants your children. He wants them. He roars and screams and growls and prowls around like a roaring lion waiting for someone to devour. And I'll have something up here, but don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. You know, it's really cool that my wife came tonight. And this is, by the way, this is my bride, Kristen, in the back over here. She's manning the camera for us over there. Say hi to everybody, and you first and last names of everybody before you leave. Got it? All the things that I'm going to teach up here, most of them I failed at. True story. If you're married and you have a man in the home, you know, God calls us to lead in the home. We're called to be spiritual leaders, okay? My bride is super strong, super duper strong, and you know you are, young lady, super strong. And I say that because in front of her as accountability, because I'm not going to stand up here and list points and all these different things and like, oh wow, that guy's got it going on. And if you even think that for a second, when we're done, go visit with Kristen. She'll tell you the truth. She won't insult me, but she will tell you the truth, and I will confess that. So again, the bottom line is, I am a saved believer by the mercy and grace of God. I am a failure in my own skin. I've tried a lot of things and done a few things right. I've done a lot of things wrong. And again, Lamentations 3, 22 and 23 tells us that God's loving kindnesses are new every morning, and great is His faithfulness. And some days when we leave our air conditioning on and let our car run all day, and you come home and your husband says, where in the world did you drive? There's no gas left in the tank. I didn't go anywhere, honey. I really didn't. And you wouldn't be lying, right? I just went and had lunch with the kids. So this is and by the way, I'm gonna bring some scripture out. So if any of you brought a Bible, I'm gonna ask you to read. Some of those will be on the sheets that are there. So if I bring up a verse and you have a Bible, you don't have to, but at the time, I'll have you say those. So how many of you are balancing multiple activities throughout the week? If you don't have enough hands, you can put up feet. How many of you are experiencing some level of stress with your kids' activities or other activities? Ma'am, you have to let me finish the question first, all right? There's a protocol here. I'm just kidding. I bow to thee. How many of you have ever dealt with the decision to increase your child's competitive level? That could be sports, it could be music, it could be anything, okay? Do you ever feel like your child may get left behind? If you don't get them into this or get them into that, you ever get worried about that? Do you ever feel like you're just not sure what to do with the kids, where to put them in, what age group, competitive, not, this and that, okay? All right, so last question, last part A. How many of you desire to give your kids everything that you can? Everything that you can, okay? And here's B, at what cost? At what cost? Think about that now. I'm not talking about money. At what cost are we willing to do that? So, is anybody here with the last name Jones? Anybody here with the last name Jones? Good, because I want to introduce you to the Jones family, keeping up with the Joneses, but if someone here is named Jones, I don't want to be fighting when we're done here. Okay, I'm going to lift this up here. You can see this chart up here. I'm probably small, but the NCAA did a study in 2006, all right? And the first line up there is the percentage of high school kids that go on to college. Usually that means by scholarships. The percentage of college to pro and the percentage of high school to pro, okay? Now, I'm around this kind of environment all the time because when an 8-year-old's playing 85 games, I think mom and dad are probably thinking they're banking on a scholarship at least and maybe that, few $1 million. Now, understand, in 1996, my last year in the major leagues, the minimum salary was $114,000. Minimum salary. Okay, just by sitting in the dugout, chewing some sunflower seeds and cheering on Billy Butler and Greg Holland and all those guys. $114,000. Now that wasn't that long ago, right? Wasn't that long? 20 years. It wasn't that long. Thank you. Love you. All right. So now here we are, 20 years later. This year, it was $500,000 minimum salary. And also, what they don't tell you, that little emblem on the back. If I could, the bald tattoo right there, that little Major League Baseball little guy, that little emblem. Every spring training, every player in their locker will receive a check for over $20,000 just because they wore Major League Baseball emblem on their hat. And we could go on and on and on with meal money and blah, 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 blah. So you understand, that's minimum salary. So can you understand a little bit why a lot of parents think, ooh, Johnny's got some talent, Susie's got a little bit of talent, we might have to kind of kick this in gear. So here's the percentages of what this happens, and I've listed the sports up here. Okay, from high school to college, the percentage of high school to college, men's basketball, this is percent, 2.9%. Women's basketball, 3.15%. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's just crazy. Excited. Football, 5.8. Now, why is the football number higher than basketball? Bigger team, more players, bigger talent pool to choose from. Baseball, my dogs. And we're down to 5.6. Men's hockey, I was in the wrong sport, 12.9. Men's hockey, but I think the deal is that you have to kind of talk like you're from the north up there and say the hockey stuff there. Okay, and then men's soccer 5.7. Sorry, any by the way, were there any women's basketball players in here? Any women ever play basketball? A little bit, okay? I was teaching a girl one time softball, and she was tall, and I said, well, you're tall and you play softball. Do you play basketball? And she said, no. Do you play miniature golf? Yep. Yeah. 2 weeks later, she was on my staff. All right. So second line, percentage of college players that actually will play professionally. I'll get out of your way here in just a second. Percentage of college players, men's basketball, 1.3%. Women's basketball, 1%. Football, you think that number would probably be high, right? Because it's so big? 2%. Baseball goes up a little bit because there's more expanded teams, 10.5%. Men's hockey drops all the way to 4.1%, and men's soccer drops all the way down to 1.9%. Now, we're getting closer to this age where now the high school kids, these 18-year-old kids are being offered. Now, Bubba Starling out in Kansas a few years ago gave him a check for $7 million before he had his high school diploma in his hand. He was a millionaire before he graduated. Isn't that crazy? You're like, really? Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Now, luckily, he's a wonderful young man. His dad had just lost his job, so he bought mom and dad a house. So dad never has to work again, took care of mom, and invested all the rest of the money for his family and lived off his minor league money. Hallelujah. He's got a good mama. Yeah. Got a good mama. He was smart. There are hundreds and hundreds of stories where that money would have been spent before the season started. Okay, now, this is Johnny and Sally and all these. This is where they're going to go, oh, we're going to skip college. We're going right to the big leagues. We're going right to the pros. Remember, this is percentage. Men's basketball, 0.03. Women's basketball, 0.02. Football, 0.09. Baseball, my dudes, struggling, 0.5%. Men's hockey, 0.4, and men's soccer, 0.08. So here's why I put that up there. Isn't it amazing how we have so many things we want our kids to be involved in? Because we want the best for them, and we have these illusions of grandeur for our children. We want to see TV. We want to see them succeed. We want them to do great things, but look at the percentages. But here's the scary part. And I know a lot of you right now might be thinking, well, that's not how we roll. That's not what we're doing in my household. I want him to get his college education. I want her to be happy and enjoy her life. The world hasn't got a hold of you yet. Because remember, Satan wants your children. He wants to take them down. He wants them to fail. He wants to distract you and scare you. He wants to make you feel like a bad parent and take your kids so you will buy into this, so you will push and push and push. And I know hundreds of young men and women that I have taught in baseball and softball that the only father figure they get is 30 minutes in my tunnel. And that is so sad. And it's a big family where money might not be an issue, other things might not be an issue, but it just becomes a separation. And it's really a sad thing. Okay, if somebody could, and this might be on the sheet, if somebody could grab, just raise your hand if you've got it, Ephesians 6:4. I know I want to make sure I kind of fly through this. So I don't want to keep you too late because I've never done anything in 30 minutes. So again, just ask my bride. Everybody got it? Go ahead. Ephesians 6:4.
And you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord.
Awesome. So and we talk about fathers in there, but again, we have single moms, right? And with single moms, sometimes the father may not be in the home, and you're having to do the job of two. Now, I've traveled a lot in my job. When I'm playing, and now with radio and TV or speaking, I might be traveling. If I'm gone for 7 days, if I'm gone for 10 days, okay, they have to look to mama. All right? I'm just blessed that I married a knockout, rock-solid, super strong, lifting partner, knock you out cold if you step out of line woman back there. But it's not an easy job to play two roles. So we have to bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord first and foremost before the world gets a hold of them. Because again, Satan wants your children. If we're not teaching our children to follow Jesus, plain and simple, if we are not teaching our children to follow Jesus, we are not doing what God expects as parents. Plain and simple. Verbal instruction is merely a small percentage of raising godly children because actions speak loudly, and I'll tell you what, your kids aren't dumb. They're not dumb. They might play dumb, but they're not dumb. My oldest son, he thinks he can get away with some things every now and then. I just said he just turned 12. This morning he had a little bit of an issue. He just decided that he wanted to pick up a blanket, smack it down on his little brother, and stare at my bride in those eyes like, I know better than you do. And he's just lucky I didn't see that. But after school, when everything was all good, he came home and picked up dog poop in the backyard for 30 minutes. Yeah. And my dog weighs 100 pounds. It's a garden shovel versus a snow shovel, isn't it, ladies? Yeah. Okay, so, and we only did it for a little bit of time, but I'll tell you what, his attitude changed real quick. It was a pretty big correction. So if any of you don't believe in that kind of parenting, I apologize. If you do, and you have a big dog, or you want to adopt that, come over to my house, because we feed him quite often. Okay, all right, get this up here. All talk and no action. When we're in the home, husbands, wives, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandmas, whatever, when we're in a position of leadership in our home, all talk and no action, remember, kids aren't dumb, equals control And I'm not talking about the good kind of control. It equals control and spiritual, and I'll move in a second, malnourishment. I don't know if I'm even spelling this right, but I'm going to give it a shot. When we become talkers, and because we get so busy, ladies, because you get so busy having to cart here and there and work and do all these different things and set things up and get schedules and balance the home, we end up, it becomes a control issue. The kids feel controlled and sometimes beat down if we just talk and talk and talk, but then we don't follow through. Kids can see right through that. At first, it breaks their heart. Then it confuses them. Then it's almost like their hope is all lost, and they just end up doing what they want to do anyway, and the way they act. So all talk and no action equals control and spiritual malnourishment. But if action and faith come together as the example, this is what we're going to get. And this is what we all want, I think. Right? We all want a blessed family. When our action and faith are the example. Okay, actions, we've all heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words, but I see it in my sons. When I live out my faith, when I love my bride, not as this selfish guy wants to, my needs met, me, blah, blah. You know, when I'm out of that and I serve, and I've done both, right, honey? I've done both, yes. When I serve her, boy, is my house at peace. When I'm calm in situations, boy, are they calm in situations. When I freak out and fly off the handle, my oldest is gone for a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a month, and I have to redirect the ship. And I find myself saying, dude, what in the world's the matter with you? And then my son will look at me and he'll say, well, you did it? And I'm just, oh my gosh. And he's right. He's absolutely right. You know, ladies, you were made with amazing discernment. Anybody know that? You know that? You have a huge gift of discernment. Every time I've gone against my bride, when she said, well, my discernment's different, I was wrong. Every time, bar none. It's unbelievable. It's uncanny. But you have a huge gift of discernment. There's also responsibility with that. You also have a huge gift of leadership in your discernment. So we have to act it out and not just talk it out. Okay. If our activities are pulling us away from the places where we get fed, ladies, we're either doing two things. If our activities are so busy, okay, that it's pulling us away from where we get fed spiritually, we're either moving away from God or we're being lukewarm. What does God say in the Bible about what he thinks about churches or people that are lukewarm? Imagine, and I won't do it, I promise, ladies, especially in the front row, that imagine if I just spit this big old nasty loogie right now and chucked it over at the door. Okay, that's division. I know it's gross. I'm sorry. But think about it. If we're lukewarm, if we act lukewarm spiritually in our homes, in our walk, in our parenting, God says, I'm just going to and just hack you right out because that's not how I've created you. He also even says, I would rather you be hot or cold. Either be with me or just get away and go to the other side. That's responsibility. But there's promises attached to that, and our children will be blessed. You want your children to honor you? Do you? Yeah. Hallelujah. Obey God. You want your children to listen to you? Do you listen? Right? It's all about the examples. It's all about staying close to God in our walk. And I know it's not easy. Ladies, I know that I don't know. I don't know what it's like to have crying babies constantly. Okay? I would like to think, in my house, and she's given me permission to say this, Mama does lots of laundry. Mama don't do no ironing. Mama don't like to iron, do you? She'll put a shirt under her pillow and sleep on it extra hard. That'll iron her shirt. Yeah. So I'll do the ironing. We'll both do the laundry, although she does more. I'll do some vacuuming and help around the house. But, again, the bottom line is we have to toe the line. These kids have to see. Our children have to see it. And if they're young, like this sweet little one right here, that's opportunity. When you've got the little bitty ones, that's opportunity. And gosh, don't waste it. Don't waste it like sometimes I have. Okay, so ask yourself this question. What is more important in life? Johnny's batting average, Sarah's recital, or your children and your spiritual condition? Right? I mean, what's really more important, And, Nicole, you talked about, well, I was taking control of my day. I was trying to control my day. Do you think God cares about the smallest second of your day? Do you think he doesn't?
Oh,
Yeah, you're like shaking your head. I'm like, young lady, we need to talk. Come on now.
I'm not even the littlest of that.
It's okay, yeah. No, it's all right. At least I know you're locked in. That's all right. So again, you know, if you think for a second that God doesn't care about the smallest couple minutes of your day or how you spend it, or you feel like, well, God doesn't care about my schedule, it's not true. It's not true. God loves every fiber of you. He loves every fiber of everything that you do, even when you think it's menial, it's not to him. When you think, you know, right now, God hears the joys of this little one sitting here doing all that stuff, whether he's crying, laughing, it is absolute music to God's ears. And you can talk over me all you want. That's okay. Because you got some sweet little toes right there, man. Like little hot dogs. I want to nibble on them. Okay. I won't do that. I promise. Oh, did I mention I'm a weird dad too? Okay, so here's what I need. I need somebody, if you could. We're at the home stretch right here. I need somebody, if you can. Here's what's really going on, okay? When you're confused, when you're scared, if you're frustrated, if you're stressed, if you're concerned, if you're adjective, adverb, whatever English stuff there you want. I need someone to read Ephesians 6:12 and then follow that up with 1 Peter 5:8. So Ephesians 6:12, if somebody can give me a blast on that.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Okay, awesome. Now, 1 Peter 5:8. No, it's if you actually might have to have a Bible on this one if you can have one.
1 Peter 5:8.
Yeah, 1 Peter 5:8. Hey, I didn't bring mine. I usually have it on my phone, so.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Absolutely.
That's pretty sobering. That's a sobering verse to me. So here's what he wants. He wants to... Exactly. Hallelujah, buddy. He wants to confuse you. He wants to make you feel like you're not sure what's going on. Okay? He wants you confused. Then after that, when it goes on for a while, he wants to frustrate you. He wants to frustrate you. Just, I can't get a hold of this schedule. Oh, this person. Anybody have any kids in sports? You ever seen the coaching of the political game and stuff like that? And if you haven't, you will. Everywhere you go, this is the world we live in. There will be political things, and when your son or daughter in some play or getting the lead or not the lead or something like that, somebody that, there's a coach's policy, you have to come to every practice, and there's Johnny that doesn't come to any practices, and he starts pitching on the first day, and yours is the one sitting the bench. There are politics involved. In high school, it gets worse on and on and on and up the ladder. Okay? And so you might as well get used to that now. It is coming and you'll be frustrated. So after the frustration, you're going to get scared. And this isn't a woman thing. This is all of us as parents. I've been scared for my son too. Absolutely scared. So there's a little fear. And all those things combined are going to result in Satan distracting you. He wants to get you distracted. He wants you to let your guard down. He wants you to try to give up and go in a direction because you may not know better or whatever that may be. He wants you distracted. So finally, this is what he wants to do to you, your marriage, your life, and your children. He wants to take them down. He wants to destroy you. It's a scary thing because he's pretty powerful. He's pretty conniving. So let's close with this. We've talked about, this is what he wants and this is all the scary stuff. So I saved the good stuff for last. Like my little 8-year-old says, I'll eat my broccoli first because I want to eat the good things last. So let's eat the good things last. Here's the battle plan. I need somebody to read Psalm 46:10. Awesome. Somebody, can you read that again, please? You can read this. The same person that read it. Go ahead and throw it out there.
Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth.
Awesome. Okay, now, any English teachers in here? Anybody? Yes, absolutely. No wonder you thought I was gross when I'm talking about loogies. So, you can talk about cakes. Unbelievable. Okay. When a verb, action verb is the beginning of a sentence, command, am I right about that? It's a command. It's like, do it, right? God isn't saying in this first part of the verse, cease striving and knowing that I am God. He's saying, stop. Stop. And not out of anger. He may have a loud voice, but it's more like, stop. I got this. Stop. Relax. It's okay. He's commanding you to chill. I got this, he said. Okay. Striving, in her version said, be still. Stop and be still. Listen. Wait. You know what, ladies? You gave birth to him. He's still God's. You got kicked and prodded and slept upside down with one foot wrapped around your head to get comfortable sometimes, and that is still God's daughter. You just get to hang out with him for a little while. You were picked just to kind of, hang out with them and feed them and teach them and all those great things and awesome things. I was picked to lead them and hopefully not screw him up. Hopefully she's close by when I start to do that. But again, be still. That is God's child. That word for me, know that I am God. Okay? When I see that, there's no options. There are no options here. Know it. This is fact. Okay? It is both comforting and a command. You need to understand and know that I am God. And I look at this, I am God, and then there's I. Remember controlling the day? I don't know how many times I've tried to control situations, even recently. And then it's like God gets a running start with a 2x4. It's a baseball analogy, sorry ladies. And he gets this running start and takes a swing and cracks me over the back of my bald head and said, oh, by the way, you're not on a throne. You might be their dad here on earth, but I run the show. Listen to me. So cease striving and know that I am God. He will take care of it. He owns the kids. We just need to be obedient and trust and walk by faith. So Mark 12:30. We're almost done here. A couple more. Mark 12:30. Somebody give me Mark 12:30. Yes, you have done your part. You need a break. You need to be still. You need to cease striving.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart.
There you go. Go ahead. Start again, Nicole, please. Go ahead.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength.
Is that easy, ladies? Is that easy? Loving God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength? Usually I'm failing at least one of those during the day, but it's still a command. And God's a merciful God and an understanding God. I always go back to Lamentations 3:22 and 23. His great is your faithfulness. His loving kindnesses are new every morning. Every morning is a fresh start. But he wants us, that's the example we're talking about. Oh, but oh my goodness, he missed 20 on a love God. Oh man, he didn't get that part. I didn't get the job. Now I can't afford private lessons. And now Billy Joe, who never goes to practice, is going to get the spot. Love God. Oh man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do about and the schedule and how can I get and childcare? Just keep loving God. I'm not saying it's easy. And I honestly believe that God knows that it's not easy, but it's possible. Remember, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And there's no subtitles and no exceptions in there. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. All things. I dare you to think of one thing and that would fall out of that. I can do all things. Okay. Here's a big one right here. Guard it. Romans 12:2. This one I think might be, is it on the list there? Is it on the sheet? Is Romans 12:2 not on there? Okay. Romans 12:2 be our last verse.
And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. All right? Ladies, you ever just feel like there's just so much going on that your head's ready to blow up? Yeah, I got some nods, some smiles, some giggles. Yes, yes. 8 pounds separating 3 boys. That's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, I'm in there, man. I want to know what's going on. I want to see baby pictures and diaper cakes. Ladies, again, that chart I had up there, even if you've got little tiny ones, okay, or you've been experienced veteran where you've got older kids, the world wants you. It's waiting for you, and most importantly, it's waiting for your kids. It's waiting. It's waiting for your child to get offered drugs or alcohol. It's waiting for them and for you to get caught up. You know, when our kids do something real successful on the court or on the field or in a gym or something like that, here's what us dads do. Yeah, that's my boy right over there. And then there's my bride sitting next to me like, suck it in, big boy, it ain't that big. Your chest ain't that big, suck it back in. You know, we always want to get all that, you know, proud and puff up, you know, and mommies are like, yeah, my boy, all right, way to go. Now, I was at an event today at a ribbon cutting ceremony with the former major league trainer for the Royals. His name is Nick Schwartz. And when I kept getting hurt in the short time I was, the only reason I got to stay was because his magic got me on the field. Oh, I mean, God did it. Yeah. So he said, you know, his son used to play baseball, and one time he got hurt on the field and tore his ACL, and he just sat there. And they're like, you're a professional trainer, you're a Royals trainer, get out there. He's like, yeah, he's my son. They have a trainer, they have a doctor. What am I going to do, go out there and say, oh, I'm the Royals trainer and I know better? He's under control. And when the time is right, when I feel the need, like I need to go there, I'll go there and I'll take care of him. And his son turned out awesome. That was the way he handled life with his son, and I love that. And my little son gets hit somewhere where he wasn't smart enough to get behind the plate with a cup on and takes a foul ball down there, and I go running out there like, what? Oh my God, what's going on? I forgot my cup, and you know, I go running out there like I'm freaking out over something, and I look at her and she's back there, well, if he didn't wear his cup, maybe the pain he needed to feel was that very thing. Sound about right? That'll teach them. Yep, absolutely. So again, ladies, we want to encourage participation according to your family. Absolutely. Encourage it.